Good. So officially, welcome to this Dynamics meetup for May 2023. We have 2 sessions today. It's actually Teodora first and then Jonathan after. The Orga team, I promised to do the presentation because the other members are in the train. We have Jørgen, who is working with customer engagement for Avanade and also with Power Platform. And then we have Ludwig, who is a technical specialist for finance at Microsoft in Germany. And me, who is the same as Ludwig, doing the same as Ludwig. So it's nice to meet you all. During the meeting, we have some rules, only come with constructive comments. And it's up to the speakers if you want to have just questions during the session. And I think, Teodora, you already said that you would like if people ask questions on the go. So feel free to jump in with your questions and write. And I will also put your LinkedIn profiles in the chat. So also feel free to connect if you want that. Yeah, Jonathan is going to present Syntex, which is a document handling program. I could see it used for a lot of things in finance and operations, so really looking forward to that one. And Teodora also is presenting something about fast track and process advisory, which will be really interesting. Then we are going to have some discussions at the end and talk about what's coming up in the next meetup. So thank you, all of you, for coming. And let's see if you can share your screen, Teodora.
Thank you. Let me know once you see my screen. It's still loading for me, so I haven't shared yet. Do you see my screen?
We can see it now, yes.
Perfect. So hi, everyone, and welcome to the meetup today. Thank you for attending. My name is Teodora Ivanova, and I'm a Senior Fast Track Solution Architect. Today, I'm going to introduce what is Fast Track, what do we do, how we help customers and partners. And also, I'm going to talk about Process Advisor. That is a relatively new product that we have launched last year. So first, let me tell you a little bit about myself. So I have about 15 years of experience in IT. I have started with some development back in the day, .NET development. Then I started gradually going into SharePoint applications. So I started with 2007 and onwards, doing some customizations. Then, of course, once the cloud was there, I immediately jumped on that train, and I started creating cloud applications and consulting customers for the cloud, how to use it, how to go to the cloud, etc. Back in the day, once Microsoft Flow was on the market in 2016, I started immediately working with Flow because that was the natural successor of SharePoint workflows. And same for Power Apps. Once it went to the market, I immediately started working with Power Apps also because it was the natural successor of InfoPath forms, which were used back in the day for SharePoint. So these were the new technologies that were coming out in the market, and I was immediately starting with those. Then 4 years ago, I started to be started at the PFE at Microsoft. Before that, I had a number of consulting and development roles. Whilst I enjoyed at Microsoft, I was in a PFE role, then moved into a solution architect role. And then recently, 1 year ago, I joined the Dynamics 365 Fast Track team as a solution architect again. And these pictures that you see on the screen, this is what I love to do in my free time. So this is a disclaimer, what I like to do outside of work. Of course, we are working hard, so we need to rest hard also. So I love traveling. I love kite surfing, snowboarding, slow kiting, wakeboarding, anything related with the board. I take it and I do it. So I also love great food and drinks and fun times as general. I'm based in the Netherlands. I missed to say that, but lived in the UK for 5 years before moving to the Netherlands 2 years ago. So yeah, that's my career and personal interests. So as I mentioned, I work as a fast track solution architect. So first we are going to have a look at what is fast track, what do we do, how we can help. And then I'm going to go through Process Advisor, what are the benefits of using it, and then I will just jump and show you how to get started, how to use it, what insights does it give you, how you can analyze the different flows based on what you see on the screen in the analytics. I will briefly mention the licensing because we shouldn't miss that topic, because it's a great feature, but it also does require some licensing. And then I have time for Q&A, but of course, feel free also to jump in and ask me questions, because I assume that we'll have questions, especially when I'm showing things in the demo. So let's start first with Fast Track. What do? Is we are helping customers and partners go successfully to the cloud. When you have an application that you are designing, Dynamics application, we are validating your solution design that it is following the best practices. And if it is not, we are going to give you recommendations on how to improve your solution design, how to follow the best practices. We have also a number of how to say worst practices that you shouldn't go there. You should always keep away from those. And if we see something like this in your project, we are going to be proactively notifying you that you have to fix this. It's not going to work. It's going to delay your project, and you may not be successful. So this is the guidance that we are giving, and we are, of course, raising this as different risks and issues for the project, for the go live. It may also have, let's say, governance risks, the project governance risks, etc. So you may have different things that are not really going to work out for a successful go live. We are also going to give you guidance around how to use best our products and our features. So if we have a new feature that we are rolling out, we are going to proactively tell you about this great feature that really fits your need as a customer or as an advisor of the customer. This is going to be great. Please use this because you don't need to customize. Now you have it out of the box. And typically, we will also give you some guidance on how to use it best, this feature. And of course, every one of us as fast track solution architects, we don't know everything. Dynamics is a huge product. Our platform is also very big now. So we don't know everything, but we are backed up by our team. Our team is big and it's structured in V teams. So if I don't know something, my colleague will know it and I will bring them to you to speak with you, etc. So essentially, when you are talking with me, or with a colleague of mine, you're talking with the whole fast track team. We have a central place where we store and discuss and address the feedback from customers, and that's how we keep it organized. And of course, this is not everything. What else we do is we work with the PMs to address the feedback that we have from customers and partners. So for example, we roll out a new feature, but it's not really working well, and there is something that you want to be improved, or maybe it is your specific scenario that is not great, it's not working great in that scenario. We will take your feedback and we will try to combine it also with other customers' feedback to build a really strong use case, because then these cases get prioritized and implemented as part of the product. And that's how how you can influence the product to be developed according to your requirements. And of course, if we have private preview programs, you can participate in these private preview programs through us. Sometimes we even organize the private preview programs of course, hand in hand with the PMs and the feature PMs, depending on what exactly it is, the feature. And of course, this is built as part of our services. It is free of charge, but it is free of charge for eligible customers only. So you have to check if you're meeting the requirements. I have put a link to the requirements in the bottom of the presentation. So that's something that you have to have a look at. And how we work is based on a framework. We call it Success by Design framework. That is a framework that works both for finance and operation and customer engagement apps. So for everything together, it's unified framework. We have delivered according to that framework to many customers, and that's why we know it is going to help you with going to the cloud more successfully than usual. And of course, it is having a lot of prescriptive guidance, as I mentioned, what to do, what not to do, how to do it better, etc. In terms of roles and responsibilities, I want to make it very clear that if you are implementing an application, Dynamics application, you typically either implement it as a customer internally, or you have an implementation partner. And then we are not taking any of the responsibilities, yours or the partner responsibilities. We are complementing what you're doing. We are going to give you the guidance. We are not going to be hands-on. We are not going to be developing something or anything like this. We are going to give you the guidance. We are going to have workshops with you where you need them. So for example, you don't know how to structure your security model. So we can have a workshop based on that, and we can understand your situation and give you advice how to structure your security model. And same for the data migration, integrations, testing, application lifecycle management, etc., etc. So this is for each and every aspect of your project to make sure that you're successful. You can have these workshops, and based on our guidance, you can go successfully to the cloud. Of course, that is not limited. As I mentioned, we have also preview programs. We will give you a number of resources like tech talks, etc. We can connect you with PMs. We can bring the PMs to talk with you if you have specific business use case that needs to be addressed. We are going to give feedback back to the feature PMs to implement or to improve the features, and we can give you also advice and direction on the steering committee that you may have internally. So we do have quite a lot of guidance built into that, and also, of course, I think the greatest thing is that we influence the product. So this is around Fast Track. Do you have any questions so far?
I have one question.
Sure.
So I was actually implementing where we did a project with Fast Track, and at our implementation, it was always the developer having the contact to the Fast Track team. Who do you usually have the contact to?
So it depends on the customer. So typically, we need to work with not one stakeholder, but a few stakeholders from the customer side. So we always say that we need to have program owner, program or project manager, depending on the type of the organization of the work. And we need to have someone from the implementation partner if we have implementation partner. So we need also, again, to have someone from the project side. Then on both sides, from the customer and the partner, we need solution architects, any SMEs that may be relevant. So for example, we may have a solution architect that is looking overall for the project, but then we may have different SMEs for the, let's say, testing or data migration. We want those SMEs to be onboarded for the relevant topics to make sure that we have the direct connection with them. That doesn't mean that we need them to be there every week. It's actually the other way around. We are there for them if they have any issue or question or anything that we can help with. So essentially, SMEs, architects, and project managers are the three main roles that we are looking at. And typically, we don't work with a single developer. That's actually more an exception than the normal practice.
Okay. Is there any, do you see in your projects any timeline that's typical for a project? That's probably also very individual.
It is very different. Depends on the size of the project, the size of the customer, the complexity of the customer. Also, sometimes we are having projects that are both on F&O side and CE side, so it's much bigger implementation typically. So very much depends. It's very different from customer to customer and from implementation to implementation. Sometimes we have implementations with lots of customizations, and sometimes they are very, how to say, plain without customizations, just configuration. So it depends.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. Any other questions, or shall I drill into the process advisor?
Ludwig has written a question. Can you mention about the conditions to get fast track support? I think you put a link in for that.
Yes, it is built into the cost for Dynamics licenses. So you need to have Dynamics licenses and then also certain costs. The minimum is $100,000 cost of Dynamic licenses, but the exact conditions are in this link. And then you need to nominate the customer. So the account team essentially you're working with needs to nominate you. And then it goes through a process to approve that nomination, and then you get a fast track solution architect.
Thank you.
Teodora,
No worries.
Sander here. I have also one question.
Yeah.
You mentioned as fast that you would like to prevent any unneeded customizations, which makes sense, of course. But for certain processes, there are also ISV solutions. Is the fast track team fully aware of what ISVs are available and suggest them when really required?
So typically, we will not suggest ISVs. The partner should suggest ISVs because we don't want to, how to say, to take side which ISV is better than another ISV, right? So we don't like to do that instead of the partner. But once you select your ISV that you'll use, we can give you recommendations on how to do the integration.
And also when there might be maybe 2 or 3 ISVs for some particular topic, then you're also not suggesting, hey, there are 3 options, please evaluate or talk with your partner if they have experiences or maybe can consider one and stay independent.
We are not advising.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I think you were interrupted. I'm not sure if it's my connection or yours. But essentially, we are not advising on the ISVs. We are advising on how to implement the Microsoft part, right? We are not advising on which ISV to choose.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. Okay. So let's start with the process advisor. So what is process advisor? Let's start from there because it's relatively new feature. I think it's a good idea to explain a little bit what we are doing with the process advisor. We are helping you to understand your business processes and give you the opportunity to explore how you can optimize them. So this means that we are giving you the capabilities to understand what is happening behind the scenes. So Process Advisor has 2 different parts, task mining and process mining. And when I'm saying that they are different, what is the difference? The process mining gives you the capability to explore your processes. So these may be, let's say, DevOps pipelines or DevOps work items or some process in F&O or some process in Power Automate that you have created. What we do is we take the event log or audit log data. We analyze based on that data what is going on, how the process is executing, how much time it takes for execution, etc. So you know actually what are the different variants of that process. And for task mining, it's a little bit different. That is more for for your users, how they are doing their daily tasks, and it is for the manual work that they are doing. So task mining is actually recording the actions of the user, where they're clicking on the screen, if they are going, for example, and writing a new email, attaching an invoice, etc. And then you can explore with that recording what are the options to automate that process. So these are the two different bits. We have both of those today in the Process Advisor, and I'm going to show you a little bit later how different it is for one and the other. And then let's have a look why we do that. What are the benefits of these two things in Process Advisors? So as I mentioned, you can improve this and make your process more efficient. So for example, if you see that there is a certain step of the process that takes 3 weeks to finish, or it is waiting for an approval for 3 weeks or something like this, you can explore why it is happening and see how you can improve that step, maybe delegate that action to someone else. Maybe the approvers team is too small, so you can see these bottlenecks and explore how to optimize them. Then, of course, you can also, if there are bottlenecks, you can improve the experience. So imagine if it is a customer waiting for 3 weeks for someone to click approve button, that may be not the best user experience that you're introducing there. So this is also a chance to have a look and improve the customer experience, the end user experience. You can also optimize resources. So for example, if you see that you have a process that goes 20 times through a loop and through the same activities, maybe you can have a look at why it is going and looping like this. Maybe you can do it in an easier way, so it doesn't go 20 times through the same steps, and it doesn't need to go like this. And of course, last but not least important, it can help you with your compliance. For example, if you see that a user is sending, let's say, an invoice email, you may have a requirement that all PII data is classified as confidential. And in the recording, in the task mining, you may see the user is actually not classifying the email. That's a red flag. That's a compliance issue. And then you can automate it in a way that it will mark all PII data emails going out of your organization as confidential. So you can find this kind of also compliance issues and address them with the Process Advisor. How you can get started, it's actually with either the browser version, which is today in the Maker portal, or you can install the MeetUP application from the Maker portal. You have this big button on top of the page to install it if you want. And then it will download the MeetUP application. And then let's have a look at the portal. So I'm going to just open my browser. So this is my browser. I'm already in the Process Advisor, so I'll just click on the homepage to show you what we have on the homepage, because there are a few things here that are worth mentioning. It is loading a little bit slow for me. I'm not sure if anyone else is experiencing the same today. Okay, so we are here now, and we can see this big button that will download the MeetUP desktop application. MeetUP is a product that we bought last year, I believe, and it's now a Microsoft product. What it does is actually we are using behind the scenes, we are using the MeetUP analytics, and also in the desktop application, it does have a little bit a different interface, which I'm going also to walk you through so you can see the differences. And then you have how to create a new process. So we have start here, and you have two different samples. So you can see the sample for finance process, and then you can see also a sample for supply chain. If we go down, we can also see popular templates. This is super useful when you want to do, for example, let's say DevOps pipelines. Analytics. So if you want to have the analytics, the insights for DevOps pipelines, you can just click on this. It will ask you to connect to your DevOps organization and the project, and then the pipeline, and pretty much it will generate from the Azure logs. It will generate all the insights that you need. And same for the work tracking. You need to select the project and the organization, and then it will generate it. So from here, you can also have, of course, logic apps. You have some F&O templates that you can use. You have supply chain, and then you have also Power Platform for desktop flows, Power Virtual Agents, and also some Power Apps Insights. So you have quite a few options, and this will continue to grow in terms of options, what you can analyze. And that is not everything. In a moment, I will show you how you start analyzing and how many different sources you can select from, how to analyze your data. And then, of course, in the bottom, you have some training videos and articles. If you want, you can start learning from here. It's a great source. So let's start first with creating a process. I will show you how easy it is to get started with your data. So click on this. And then what I have is process mining and task mining. I already mentioned the difference that process mining is working with event logs and audit logs, and task mining is working with recording. So I have to start with Power Automate Desktop and record my actions on my laptop. Then they will be uploaded to the process advisor, and they will get analyzed what I'm doing on my desktop, how effective it is, how many seconds it takes for something to be completed, etc. For today, I will start with importing data. So I'll just give it a name test because or demo, better name. And then I'll click continue. As we can see on the top of the screen, we have 4 steps to connect to the data. And here you can see how many sources I can select. If you don't have, if you can't access the source directly, let's say it is in another environment that you can't connect to or something like this, you can always take the event log or the audit log and import it here. Typically, they are CSVs, so you can import it as a CSV. If you have an Excel spreadsheet, you can also use that, or XML. So you have a lot of options around how to upload that data. And if you connect directly to, let's say, a database or SharePoint, this means that it will be refreshed also once you have new data coming in. For the demo today, I'm going to use the Microsoft sample file. So let me show you what is in that sample file. It is very simple sample file. It is essentially CSV that has a few different columns: location, row, vendor ID, invoice value, resource, timestamps, start and end, case ID, and activity name. This is very simple. It's about 1,000 rows, and that's what I'm going to upload. So I'm just going to click this. We have this co-option upload file that I'm going to use. It's still in preview. I'm going to select the latest one, and it will use this file. It will create a connection. That connection is important because you do require additional licensing for using the process advisor. And this user here, in this case, it's my user, but this needs to be licensed. If you don't have a license, you won't be able to do this. So it's an important step. Then I will click next. And then it will show me the data in the file. Yeah, it takes 1 minute to upload, not 1 minute, a few seconds to upload. But it will show me the data in the file. It will load it here. And then you can of course change how it is going to split it if you have something else. But it is very straightforward. So in this case, I will just click next. I see that the file is all right. Here, where I end up is actually, do you know this? It's Power BI, right? So I have the screen, and what I need to do here is just I need to map it to entity. What this does is actually we have a few attributes that we need in order to generate the insights in the process advisor. this will map your data from the Excel spreadsheet or the CSV that we have to these attributes that we need in order to be able to generate the insights. And here I have two options, activity log and event log. I already mentioned the difference. So activity log, we have the start and end timestamp, and event log, we have just when this event occurred. So it is not start and end. We don't know how much this activity continued. What I'll do is I'll select activity log because I saw that we have start and end date, and I have this really cool button here, auto map. I love this. So I'm clicking the button, it maps automatically my attributes from the file to the entity attributes. And then I click OK. It's this simple. Sometimes if you have more timestamps, it may get confused and pick up the wrong one. So it's good to always check that it is taking the right data and mapping it correctly. Otherwise, your insights will be wrong. Then I'll click next and I'll go to the final step. Of course, here you can also on the previous step, one thing that I forgot to mention is you can also transform the data. So if it is not in fully ready state, you can transform it, you can filter it, you can do anything that you can do in Power BI. You can do that on the previous step. Okay, and this is the final step, and it is going to map the left data, and also here it is important that it is showing the data type. That's again very important for the insights. What I'll do is I'll again click the cool button auto map that I love. So it will automatically map not only the start timestamp and the end timestamp and the case ID and the activity name, because these are mandatory, but here you can see that it also mapped the resource, for example. So we'll be able to filter by resource. Then if I click Save and Analyze, it will need probably around 4 or 5 minutes to generate the insights. So I'm not going to do this now. I have done it yesterday, so we have it for the demo already. But it will generate what I'm going to show in a moment. Otherwise, it takes 5 minutes or something. So let me switch to the one that is already generated in my environment so you can see how it looks like and what we have in there. Okay, my connection is a little bit slow, I guess, because it is loading quite a long time.
It is getting ready for your vacation, Teodora.
Yeah. Okay, so this is actually the sample. As I mentioned, I am using the accounts receivable sample that is provided on that start screen. It's very easy with a few clicks if you want to explore a little bit further to generate it, as long as you have license, of course, to generate it and have a look and click here and there so you can see it. So what we have here is we have the process. This is the process map. Then if I zoom in a little bit, you'll see the start of the process, how many cases we have. Here we have the total number of cases, 133. And then we have different paths that it actually takes in order to complete. So here is the end. I'm not sure if it is visible, so I'm just going to zoom in. So here is the end, and it shows the different paths through the different activities that it takes in order to finish. Here on the left right side, you can see the number of activities we have in total in the process. So these are 13 activities. Activities are like this, invoice entry, for example, that is an activity. We have in total 13 activities, 133 cases that went through the process, and 11 different variants. So these are essentially the different paths the process is taking in order to finish. If we look on the top, what we have is the median case duration. You can see the average case duration, self-loop cases. So these are cases where the same step is looping itself. So for example, if it was, let's say this one, it's refund with a standard voucher, it will go and execute the same step again and again. And then we have loop cases, which means it's executing a few steps together in a loop. That's why here we have some percentage. We can see here that we have some loops on the screen. We have 8 resources, so that was the attribute that it got auto-mapped. That are the different people that were working on these different activities. What else we have here is we have the variants of the different paths, and if I click on it, it will actually filter the process and it will show us only that specific part. Sorry, I will zoom out. So we have the exact path that this variant took. And this is the most common variant. So here we can see the number 66 cases went through this specific path. And here you can see it's using 5 out of 13 activities. Half of the cases, more or less, went through this path. And this is one variant. Then if we click on the second one, we can see the second most popular variant. Here we have quite a few more steps, right? And we can see a quarter of the cases went through this path. So I will just remove the selector so we'll see again the full picture. However, here you can notice this is the average duration of cases over time. You can notice that some of the cases were more than 15 days they were open, right? So if you want, you can explore even more and drill into those. I will immediately tell you which case is that. It's case number 10, the variant number 10. So this is how it went. And if you look closer, you'll see that it actually looped 3 times through this loop. So that's why it was so slow. And you can see it's 4 times this step, 3 times, and then it exited. Obviously, they were rejecting the invoice, reissuing the invoice, etc., etc. So this is how you can drill in a little bit further. And then, of course, you can also have a look on the variants by time. So which is the worst one is the one that I actually showed. It's 17 days, 22 hours to finish. So here you can easily spot which one is slower. So this 10th variant is much slower than anything else. So probably what you need to look at is how do I optimize this one? How do I make it in a way that it doesn't get rejected 3 times, right? So these are the optimization techniques that you need to use. When you see something that is extraordinary, like here, you always need to think how to remove that, how to improve that. Because we do have also this kind of loops. Let's say in variant 6, we also have loops, but it does not take a long time to complete. So it is 5 days, but this is 17 days, so much longer. And processes like this, they of course decrease the experience of the user or the customer. If a customer is waiting for 17 days for something to be finished, typically they will not be very happy about it. Let's have a look at what else we have here. So here in the process map, we do have quite a few other things. I'll just first remove the filter, probably it will be better. I think I was too quick in clicking. Okay, so what we have is also the case count. So here we have the total number of times that the different cases went through this step. But if we go to case count, we'll see how many cases went through this step. So for example, here, because of the loops, one case was going multiple times through the same step. So that's why it was larger. And then we have also maximum occurrence in case. These are the loops. Essentially, we'll see, okay, maximum occurrence we have on these steps that were looping around. And we have here force and here trace. So this is something that we can explore a little bit further. Okay, we can also have a look at this one. This is again very interesting metric around what you can improve. So this is the total duration that it took between different steps to execute. So you can have total duration, but you can look at, let's say, mean duration. So this one, obviously, you can see it immediately. It's 22 hours, 23 hours almost. is the mean duration of this step, and 1 day and something for this step. So that's why it was actually so slow, this variant 10, because it was going through these steps multiple times. That's how we can indicate some bottlenecks and see, obviously this step is very slow. What is the reason? Is it because someone there are not many people in that specific row? Is it because it's not going where it's supposed to go? What is the reason why this step is so slow? Is it that there is a manual action that is required on that step before reissuing the invoice, or what is exactly the reason behind it? So you can get a lot of insights where to search and what to search for. Here you have also some other insights like maximum duration that it took. So these are the worst times, or minimum duration, the best times of each of the steps. So if the best time for this one is 15 hours, probably it's not really fast, right? And then, of course, we can also see the number of times that something was reworked. So essentially that are the loops. You can see the total number of reworks here is 36. So we have multiple variants that we're going through these loops. Okay, so I will go through the other tabs too. I'm just looking how we are doing with the time. So what we have also is the map. This is the bigger map of the same process. If you want to see it better, you can go and explore here. The controls are absolutely the same. We have variant DNA. This is interesting. So we looked at variant 10 here, and we saw that it goes 3 times through the same loop. So you can immediately notice it here. It's color coded, and when you hover over, you can see what is the exact step. You can see also which process have the most steps. So this is variant 6 and variant 10, and you can drill further if you want to. And one important thing I forgot to mention is you have filters, because this is essentially Power BI. So you have filters, and you can filter. You can have a look at the information. So just quickly go here for a moment. You can filter, for example, by position, because here you have approvers and you have different roles. So you can actually filter by role and by location. So here are some locations in the States, but you can apply certain filters. I'm just going to wait for it, and this is how the process changes, which steps are executed by a resource located in San Francisco. I'm just going to remove the filter. And I want also to show you one other thing, and that is the time analysis, another very useful insight here. So what we have here is the exact cases which took longest time to execute, or if I order the other way around, the shortest time to execute. So if you click on those, you can see which is the fastest path that it took, like this, the variant 1. And if I go the other way around, we already saw it. It was variant 10, but that's because I actually went here and saw it here. So that's why I was showing it earlier, right? But for example, you may want to see what is this case that is 9 days for executing it. And you can drill down into different cases and understand better what happened in this case, why it's so slow, why it's so fast. And of course, we have the same by variant, but we saw that already on the other page. So this is what we have in terms of insights in the browser version. I will quickly jump to mine it in the desktop version. Let me see if I can find it. I will need to start it. It is closed. That's not a problem. In the meantime, what I will do is I will navigate to the Process Advisor page again, because I want to show you some other insights also. Okay. The homepage is taking a long time today for some reason. Once you're in, but before that, you wait. Okay, let's wait for a moment.
It's probably with the preview, as I just tried to make .powerautomate.com. It's really fast.
I think it is related with some deployments that we are doing because I'm at the Microsoft tenant. So we do have some release waves that are always coming to us before coming to anyone else. And this week, as you know, it's the Build conference. Apologies for that. You didn't see this,
Yeah.
right?
No, it's recorded only, Shen.
So it is the Build conference, and we are releasing quite a few things this week. Okay, now it loaded. Okay, so what else I wanted to show you here is the task mining. I did a very quick recording with Power Automate Desktop, and essentially it was starting a new email in my mailbox and then attaching an invoice and sending it out. I just wanted to show you how it looks like. First, I will show you here the recording. So this is the recording I did, and it is unlicensed, so we'll have some insights. However, it is only a single recording, so the insights are not very interesting. The interesting part here is first the recording itself, and second, how you use this. You need to have Power Automate Desktop on all of installed on the machines on all of the users that you want to record, because it is using that in behind the scenes. Actually, it's not much behind the scenes, but it is using Power Automate Desktop. And what they need to do is actually do a new recording that will automatically pop up to start a new recording, and you can do the actions. Once you finish, you click that you're finished, and it automatically uploads here. So it's nothing very complicated to do. And the benefit is that you can analyze recordings from different users. So if you want to record with from different users, you just need to share it, and then multiple users can record their actions. This is extremely helpful when you have different processes and different or the same process executed by different people. So first you can see how different people are working in order to help them optimize or fully digitalize that process and make it automated. Okay, so let's have a look at the process itself at the recording. So what we have here is number of actions, like I press a new button, new email in my Outlook, etc. Then I fill an email, my email, I send the invoice to myself, etc. So these are the exact actions that are recorded from the user screen. And then you combine them into different actions the actions for Process Advisor. Essentially, the action that you see in Process Advisor is here what you have written in here, and sometimes it will auto-generate it for you if it understands what you're doing on the screen. And you will combine it in different actions, and then you'll be able to see, for example, for me it took 1 second to open a new email, but for someone else, it may be the case that they don't know how to open a new email, or they go to the browser, or they do something else. And then I write an email, but it may be the case that someone else is just using a template. So it's much faster than writing it from scratch. You can also see I missed to classify the invoice. So that's another thing you may be able to see here. I haven't classified it. I just click send and it send it out. I missed classification. That's something that's important for you. Then it may be something that you can also automate. So everything that is going out to be classified. So you can find this kind of things that you can improve in your processes. And then let's go quickly to have a look just at the recording, at the analytics to see what exactly I see here. You saw that I had 2 actions. That's how I grouped it: write an email and send an email or something along the lines. So what I see here in the insights is exactly that. I see the 2 actions. I have only 1 recording, so I have only 1 variant. If I have multiple users recording, then most probably you have different variants. You'll be seeing, for example, 3 users do the same steps, but the fourth user does something else. So you will be able to explore. You'll see on average how much time it takes them to do these manual actions step by step by step. And here's my very quick recording. So this is how you can see more around this. And let me see if Minet was good enough to start. This time it did start. I'm trying just to bring it to the screen. Okay, I'm very quickly going to show you the insights. That this is the sample accounts receivable. You just open the generate. So first I'm in the same environment, so it shows what I have generated in my environment in terms of process advisor analytics. I opened analytics, and I think one of the biggest benefits I find in Minet is that you have much deeper insights that you can drill in and better filtering. Here, once it loads, you can filter, let's say, with a slider, so it is much easier to filter. For example, I want to see only the total count of that is very high, so immediately you can spot it here because it's the only path that is still active. Or the opposite, I want to see the rarely used paths. So these are processes that this is the path that the process rarely takes, so it's not used much. Or maybe if you look at the more often used path, maybe that's something that you need to focus on, because if you have this used 100 times and every time it's an hour, it's 100 hours, right? So maybe what you want to focus on is something like this. So the filters are much easier to use, I would say, and much more useful than the Power BI filters. So, and we have, of course, case counts, maximum occurrence. We do have quite a few filters. So we have also about the duration. If you want to filter and see like what takes the longest in total, you can do that. So you have great capabilities on this one. And then the other thing that I really love is if you click on a certain action, maybe, yeah, you can see these very great details around how frequent it is occurring, what is the total count. Probably this is not the best action because it's the first one and it always goes through there. But you can see this occurred 67 times. Yeah, and some additional analytics. You can see the successors of this step, so where it comes from, where it goes to, etc., etc. And with complicated processes, this is really useful. You can see also the resources, the attributes that we mapped, right? You can see how many times each of the resources went through this step. And of course, here also have different mining attributes. That's again great thing to have. I just want to put here, sorry, to put the total count again, and then let's go through a resource. So here I can see each of the resources, each of the people, how many cases they did, who they worked with, etc. These are the different process paths, and you can see how they were sending the case between the different people. And then also you can do that by location, by role. So you have different mining attributes. I think these are the three best thing for Minet if you want to really use it. Okay, I think I'm running out of time. So what I'll do is I will switch back to my presentation. And I will continue with the licensing because I did mention that we require additional licensing. So what we need is per user license, essentially. And if you want to use Minet or to customize the Power BI reports that you have, you need to have additional process mining add-on that is purchased additionally. But these are the licenses. And when we say per user license, that is the user that actually generates the Process Advisor Analytics. It is not the recorded user. Well, for the recorded user, because it's Power Automate Desktop, you also need a license. But it is not for the user that owns the data. It is for the user that generates the analytics. Then, in terms of resources, we do have some good resources. We do have the documentation. We have also documentation of MeetUP, how to use it, how to generate the analytics, etc. I have added here the licensing documentation because I think that there are a little bit more details there. And we have a series of YouTube videos around the Process Advisor and how to generate pretty much anything that you want to generate. And some recommendations how to automate the process, etc. So we do have a lot of resources, and there are many more than this. That's not the end of the resources. And yeah, that was everything. And if you have any questions, please shoot. What do you think? Is this useful? I see someone has a hand up.
Yes, I think, Andreas, you had a question.
Do I need to look at the chat?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you for the presentation. Yeah, I was unmuting me. So I like the UI and etc. But I think when you have the data in the right format, checking and analyzing the variants, etc. Is the easier part. What I think is the difficult part, and where we need more help from Microsoft, is really about the groundwork. Yeah, how do you get the data into the format required? So just as some comparison, I did in Celonis a training, I think 1.5 years ago. They tell you exactly how to transform the SAP data into the Celonis format, which actually is the same format MeetUP needs. Yeah, it's just the activity, timestamp, and application or process ID. And when I see all the discussion, happy to have it started here. I think all the community and the MVP community is doing actually research how to bring this into right format. And the question is there a fast track guidance how to bring the data from F&O into the right format? And yeah, just data lake and Synapse is of course correct, but probably not enough. It needs to be deeper.
Currently, there's no guidance on this, but I'm happy to work on it with you, of course, with your help, and to put guidance together, because that is something that Ludwig actually already flagged to us. And it is very great to hear those insights that you're missing something from us. It may be that we provide more documentation or some other ways to actually make it easier for everyone.
Yeah. And by the way, it would also be interesting for the 15,000 business central customers in Germany, because they also within the same guidance. They also have processes. And I think, also I'm looking around and I still don't see a real example of a larger Dynamics F&O customer using process mining, while in the enterprise area with SAP, it also already becomes with Celonis a kind of, let's say, commodity, yeah, so to say. So I think really we have to act here because it's a great tool and it's far less expensive than Celonis. And the people need partner support to use it.
That's great. I'm adding a note to myself. I will organize something between you, Ludwig, myself, and the PM working on it, because I think it's great if they can hear from you around the guidance, because that will enforce the message. So I'm just adding it to my notes, and then I'll reach out to you probably in about a week, not earlier, because I'm going on vacation. So after my vacation, I'll reach out and organize something. And I think it will be great if you have tried MeetUP, if you have tried the Process Advisor, if you have any other recommendations, also to hear those. It's not limited to the topic around the guidance.
Yeah. So if when you are back from vacation, Teodora, you can reach out to Ludwig and me, and we have also the contact to Andreas, and who else will join, and then we can arrange a meeting.
Great, that's absolutely great.
Alex,
Okay,
did you have a question?
Sorry, I have a question. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, I have a business case wherein I'm trying process mining for some time, but I am not still able to achieve. I wrote that we have a global blueprint which we are rolling out in 55 countries, and we wanted to utilize something which can show the deviations from the standard blueprint what we are building. So I don't know, I mean, if that could be fit or not, but I was trying out, I had some thoughts, so I wanted to discuss in that direction and see if that is possible. We would definitely interested to have the tool then. That is one thing. Second is I'm also part of user group wherein there are 7 to 8 European customers are there, and we meet almost third month or something to discuss what to do. And this topic was up in the last meeting, and we wanted to invest together as a different customer, and we wanted to build something because there was nothing like that. So maybe it would be interesting to follow the journey. Since this is the first contact, now we know who to reach. I think it's a good initiative to start with, but we would like to develop from here onwards. What are our different business scenarios and how it achieves and things like that.
Yeah, that's great. If you have a specific user scenario, it would be great if you can. I'm not sure if it's in the chat. I was not able to look at the chat when presenting, but if it would be great if you can reach out and send it via email.
I will make the contact between you two. I
Amazing.
have your both emails.
Yeah,
Amazing.
absolutely. I mean,
Thank
I'll
you.
do that. I have ready a scenario and I've been trying, so I have that very clearly written. I will send it to you.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, I think we have 2 more hands up. Jörg?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm really overwhelmed by your presentation. Thank you for that. I have a question. How are workers' rights possibly touched or hurt by this tool? Do you see any danger that the workers' rights are touched by the program?
Not really, because it is not going to. It does give you details around the resource, who did it, etc. But first, you need to provide this in your audit logging or event logging. If you are using, let's say, the security and compliance audit logs, they don't have specific users, so be seeing IDs compared to this. This is sample data. So this is one thing. The second thing is that this is not meant to be used for, identifying users that, let's say, don't work enough or something along the lines. The whole idea is to identify a bottleneck and see what is the problem, why they, for example, they can't do that specific activity faster. Maybe there is something that can be improved in their work, right? It is not about punishing people or anything like this. It's about helping them work better.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
No worries. And I think the other hand we have here is Henrik.
Yeah, hi. It's just a comment on this. Why aren't more F&O customers using this? I just keep in mind that so far, Process Advisor has only been soft launched. It was 1st of April, or 3rd of April actually, and the real launch is going to be in July.
Yes.
So that is the main reason. And also just a comment. So I have actually promised to work with the Business Central product team, who sits on the floor below me, where I usually work, to work on examples for using Process Advisor with Business Central. But I'll be very interested in kind of that we come up with, how can I say, Microsoft ERP guidance templates, whatever we call it, because it's a really it's a really good tool, and I would say you can definitely do what you described, if I understand it correctly. You can save your where you say your main blueprint as a layer, and then you can compare that to your various processes from all your countries. But we can take that discussion at a separate time.
Absolutely. So the process advisor will be officially launched in July, and we'll have a marketing campaign then. For now, it is GA. However, some of the functionalities are still in preview. You'll see the labels preview on them, and it is not yet marketed because it's relatively new product, but we will have the marketing campaign later this year. And I see one more hand up, Andre.
Yes, at least good presentation. And the funny thing is, I saw some demonstrations, but you provided more details and all kind of use cases. Really useful. Thank you for that. Just a question to all of you. Are you interested if I do share my slide deck about ingesting data from ERP systems into Process Advisor, which I did just this week in Slovenia on the Dynamics Minds conference? I see one heart. That's enough. Okay, I'll share it.
I will be interested to.
Okay. Okay, I'll share it in the meeting chat now. Yeah.
I was in session and it was really good, so I can say it was good. You should see that.
Okay, you were there. Thanks.
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you, everyone.
And thank you for joining us, Teodora. I think we can say it was a success, and you can now have a well-deserved vacation.
Thank you. I will do that.
Yeah, and I put your LinkedIn in the chat, so everyone feel free to reach out to Teodora.
Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for attending.
Thank you.
Have a good
Have
time.
a nice vacation.
Thank you.
Nice vacation.
Thank you. Bye.
And then we are over to Jonathan. If
All
you
right.
want to try to share your screen.
Sure thing.
And we see it.
All right. I'm a little bit jealous because I don't have such a pretty slide like Teodora had. Therefore, a few words from my side. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm Jonathan, based in Germany, Dresden, to be precisely. And my role at Microsoft is Teams technical specialist. So I'm also a technical specialist, not just for Microsoft Teams. I'm in IT since 28 years, and I have almost the same profile as Teodora had, which is surprisingly for me, because I also started as a developer and then as a SharePoint developer, SharePoint architect, and now I'm at Microsoft for 5 years as a Teams technical specialist. And today I was asked if I could spend a few words on Microsoft Syntex, which surprised me a bit, but as I thought about it, it kind of makes sense. So let's have a look into content AI and Microsoft Syntex. It wouldn't be a good Microsoft presentation if we don't start with a few numbers. And here they are. So basically, when we look at Microsoft 365, we have around 1.7 billion documents added at a daily base. And that's 130 billion terabytes of unstructured content until 2025. So that's a lot of data. Also, when we look at the pricing, it's around 46, I'm sorry, it's late. 46 billion yearly to store and manage this content. So a lot of content, a lot of money, a lot of documents. And therefore we have built Content AI, which allows us to use AI to transform the content in ways that we can use it in an automation to get documents created, to get content out of documents. And this is the main part of Syntex. And this is my beloved slide, because announcing Microsoft Syntex is a little bit misguiding. Because let's have a look on, let's have a walk on memory lane. The first time we heard about Syntex was in 2020, when we first released Microsoft Syntex as the first part of Microsoft Cortex, which is should be based, should be functionalities based on SharePoint in the field of content delivery. And 2022, we released Syntex because Syntex was starting to work together with Microsoft Viva for example, for Viva Topics. And now we are announcing Syntex again because Syntex is going to be a part of the content AI. So basically, it's a re-announcement of Microsoft Syntex, but it's as it grows, now it's I think fully capable of some features. So let's have a look what Syntex can bring for us. First of all, Syntex as a content AI surely needs content. And within the Microsoft 365 area, we have SharePoint as the content provider based in so much of our services. So this is the base for Microsoft Syntex. But we also have other products that make use of Microsoft Syntex or which can rely on Microsoft Syntex, like the Power Platform, like Microsoft Purview, like Azure Services, and of course, Microsoft 365. What are the three main points that Microsoft Syntex should achieve? The first one is enhanced documents. So to understand the content, assemble the content, automate content delivery in this case. The second point is, we call it connect. It's discover content, reuse content, and also build content. The new part of Microsoft Syntex is kind of management. So basically, when we look at the lot of data, the lot of documents, the lot of unstructured documents, these are all going to get on the SharePoint, and therefore the storage of the SharePoint is really going up. And with the management part, we have the possibility to archive some of these data, and of course backup data in this case. So these are the three main topics which Syntex currently covers. And to see some of these use cases, let's have a look into the three topics. So first of all, assemble. As I said, it's the kind of understanding documents, document processing, as well as content translation of documents. And we also have the AI functionalities that are now everywhere, like Copilot. We have the possibility to get a summarization of documents and deliver the key points of these documents in a summarized view generated by AI. To see this in action, I have a few videos because it's built. I don't have the practical demo. So here we have a document, and we see on the right side the file summary of the document. So basically, we can see that the discovery of the document or Syntex as a discovery engine has scanned the document and summarized the document to create AI-generated summarization of these 12 pages. So we have everything we need at a glance in one view. The second point is Connect. So with Connect, we are getting features like the process of an e-signature of a document, or the content, the trigger action in within by the Power Platform to process content. And here we have the example of how to build a document signature. So in this case, we have a document which needs to be signed by 2 participants. We can select the part of the signature, so it's not just syntax. We can also use Adobe Sign, other features. We declare the signatures, email addresses, so this can be sent out. Then we take the signature spaces for each person, lock them up in the corresponding document, and then send out the document. So now the participants will get an email that they need to sign these documents. They have the possibility to review the documents and then digitally sign these documents. So when all participants have signed the document, and then the process is finished, and we have the document within the document library with the process status, and can see where the process is in case of the signature. The manage example I want to provide was the example I already told you about. Let's see. This is the SharePoint Admin Center we have here, and we have in this example we have 600 pages that take up a lot of data. So in this case, we want to archive some of these sites, and we select the highly confidential sites for this step because they are not needed anymore. And we can simply, with a few clicks, archive them to free up the space of the SharePoint, so we have free space available. But Microsoft Syntex itself is always better with other products in combination. So in this case, for example, Viva Topics, which is the knowledge database within Microsoft 365, you could say, at least in the Viva environment. And here we have the possibility to use taxonomy within SharePoint that could be extracted from documents to automatically seed new topics, new knowledge articles, for example, and also add data from these documents to these knowledge examples. Another example would be Microsoft Purview, because we have the possibility to use retention and sensitivity labels to manage the content lifecycle, because Microsoft Syntex can automatically deploy retention and sensitivity labels within these documents. So we have the possibility to use this for the processes. I think for this community, the most interesting part would be the Power Platform, because with Power Automate and Power BI, we also have the triggers and the actions and the visualizations on the processes and also on the content. So the 4 principles, or the 4 parts when you look at Microsoft Syntex, is the first one: you need to have a common terminology within the term store itself, so we can leverage that to use it within the content lifecycle. The second one is the analyzation of the content. So which types of documents we have, where are they stored, which SharePoint news and modern pages, which is another point, could be analyzed. So we have the content structure itself. The third one is the process. So we have the possibility to extract the information. We have the possibility to use retention and classification within these documents, or extract the document contents to use it for the knowledge management within Viva topics, for example. And the last one is the discovery of the content, so that the user knows where the content is stored, for example, also within Viva topics or Microsoft Teams, Outlook, SharePoint, etc. That's basically the knowledge management lifecycle from the view of Microsoft Syntex. So Syntex is not the only tool within the Microsoft Cosmos which can do document processing, but it's the out-of-the-box and basic functionality which we can deploy. There are a few other steps that could be used to build the document or document processing, document lifecycle, which are the AI builder, which is also leveraged by Microsoft Syntex, by the way, or the Azure content or AI services, which can also be used to develop document processing and document lifecycle. It depends on the case. If you want to have the out-of-the-box functionality, or you need to adapt to the processes that are already in place. Let's have a few looks on how the content processing works, the extraction of the content, the assembly of new content, and the Power Automate. So the first point we want to click through in this case, because build, is the document processing part with Syntex and AI Builder. So in this example, we want to classify and extract data within rental agreements we have. The first step, if we have Syntex based or Syntex activated, is the document library within SharePoint, where we have the possibility to use the model. So basically, when we look at document processing, Syntex uses models to gather the information how the document is built. In this case, we are creating a new model for these rental agreements we have. And we have different models that are custom models. We also have pre-trained models. We can also have templates that could be used. And in this case, we use the extract by text pattern and layout as a custom model. So when we select this, we have the possibility to get a document in and select the parts of the document which should be extracted or processed. In this case, we upload the document, and after we add the document, we choose the information to extract. Also, it's kind of like Power BI. We define the fields within the document itself. So for example, the tenant, the landlord, the address, because we are doing rental contracts, a start date, a monthly rent. And after we have defined the fields within the documents or the model itself, we can use the collection to create the layout of the contents itself. So basically, we add a sample document in this part to define where to look for the fields within the document itself to extract these. So after we have defined the parts of the document, the fields of the document, and linked them all to the demo document we have published or we have a predefined model that needs to be trained with documents normally. in this demo, we just publish it because it's always the same document. If you have different document structures, the model needs training. So we can add 100 documents. These get scanned. Then we get the extracted data, and we can define where it's right, where it's wrong. So we get a better understanding of the document model itself. The better it's trained, the better the results are. After we have built the model, we want to use the data that is extracted from our rental agreements. So basically, we want to create or automate a confirmation letter based on the rental agreements we have defined. In this case, we are going to use a modern template, which is also an option you get when Syntex is enabled within a document library. And we define one document that's the base for this modern template. In this case, we use the rental agreement confirmation that we also have predefined. And within the classification, we have the possibility to also add fields we want to select and pre-fill within the document. So basically, what we're doing is we are taking the fields we extracted before and use them within a new document to pre-fill this documents based on the rental information we have. So in this case, we also have the landlord, the address, and the monthly rent, the start date. And after we have defined these spaces where the data should be put, we publish the modern template. So after we have published the modern template, we also use Power Automate to select when we have a new file within the rental agreements. We also need to generate a document with the information from the rental agreement. And these are also steps that come with Syntex and are usable within the Power Automate. And we have the trigger for the upload of a new document. We have a trigger for generating new documents. In this case, we get all the information that was extracted in the document library. So everything that is extracted from the document gets a new field in the library itself as in list form. We will see this. And we can use these informations to pre-fill the new confirmation letters. How does this look in action? Let's get back to our rental agreements document library. So when we are going to upload new documents, in this case, we are taking these 6 documents and dropping them within the rental agreements document library. It takes a moment after the uploading to analyze these files. And after these files are analyzed, we see the content is directly exported within the document library itself. So the information that we needed is directly put in the document library to the document as metadata. Then we also get since Power Automate also needs a second to start up the process. After Power Automate has finished, we get the confirmation letters based on the documents we just dropped in the rental agreement space. And these are also directly pre-filled. That means that the data we have from the rental agreement within the document library itself that was extracted was directly reused to pre-fill this confirmation letters that can be sent out directly after. Where are we standing currently with Microsoft Syntex? So basically, the content processing, as I said, is a little bit older. it's also directly available now, at least for 2 years. If we look at things like the management perspective, the solutions like backup and restore and archiving are not yet released, but will be coming this year. So a lot of features around the content processing are already available since a few years, and new functionalities that are now coming to Syntex, because Syntex is also growing bigger with the AI functionalities, and the processes around document handling will be coming within this year. If I have piqued your interest in Microsoft Syntex, this is a good point to start the journey with Microsoft Syntex. And this is also my last slide. And I hope you have gathered some information around Microsoft Syntex. And let's see if you have any questions.
I think, Andreas, you had a question.
Yes, thanks, Jonathan. So coming from the EAP projects, there's always documents around. Yeah, it's a big part. Customers are spending a lot of money for ISVs, and I think there are 10 ISVs in the ecosystem that are all the preferred ones. Yeah, everybody's the preferred Microsoft partner for document management, and I think now some of them are maybe have to rethink their market positioning. But it's now always, it's not one solution, it's a product family. There are also now new apps coming out like invoice capture and OCR in ERP. And the question is for me, is it just same technology, different packaging, or is it, let's say, just the one coming out from the modern work area and the other one from the business application group? And then maybe be similar, but not the same. So how is that, I would say, the classical use cases? Yeah, I get an invoice and capture it, or I want to read something and convert it in a document and archive it. Are these business processes around documents also now covered by Syntex, or not so really?
That's a good question. I think that's also the question where you're coming from, because from my point of view, ERP and Dynamics are not directly present within my field of work. So this is a good question. When we have a look at the technology itself, so as I said, Microsoft Syntex is also using Azure AI Builder as a base. So I'm not sure if the BizApps part is also using AI Builder, but I would assume it does. Yeah, thanks, Lone. And it's the base. So I think of it as the content processing for Microsoft 365 in this case, based on the AI Builder functionality we are already using in many of our products. I don't know if this is helpful for your question.
Yeah, no, it's definitely the same technology. Like I built a, but I think I counted 3 solutions now where you can capture invoices in Microsoft. Yeah, and that's how it is. Yeah, that's definitely enough.
From my perspective, doing different things in finance and operations, I think human resources is also a really good use case for this purchase contract management. I have seen a lot of also interest about where it could be used. So I think actually there's a lot of use cases for it.
I think the basic or the main question is where is the content stored? Which storage does the solution use? If you have a look at Dynamics, I know you can use SharePoint libraries to store the content. Then you could use Syntex to process the content. But I know other systems that directly store the content within themselves. So basically, when we have a look at Syntex, SharePoint is the base of the document handling. And that's, I think, the main question: where is the content stored?
And also, I think you can do in Syntex that you cannot do in invoice capture is, and I saw that from a lot of customers, that if we have, and for working as a finance controller, if we have an invoice, we want to search the item on the invoice. You cannot do that in invoice capture, but in Syntex, as I understood it, you can do that. I think Ludwig was testing it out and was trying to do that. So I think that's a use case for it.
So again, what can you not do?
If you have an invoice coming in, there's like 20 lines on it. One of them contains surface. One of them contains charger. One of them contains something else. So you can search in the invoice, on the text in the invoice. And you cannot do that on invoice capture.
Yeah. Invoice capture is pretty basic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a possibility. If we extract the data from the document, we can use the invoice to store the different parts of the invoice, and then we can use them to search or other scenarios.
Yeah, that's at least something I heard a lot of people wanting to do, and also from working with it. But also the human resource part. Of course, now I'm from Denmark, and we have a lot with electronic signatures, and that is a good thing.
Yeah, that's also pretty new.
And a good use case also with human resources. Markus, you had a question?
Yeah, hey, thank you, Jonathan, for sharing these insights. My question is more also in the regard of business case. Is it something also really to use it as a contract management system? Because what you just mentioned was somehow the storing, somehow the processing, the, let's say, with approvals. Because we're just thinking about something, either going with a regular contract management solution, which is on the market, or also found there an article in the Learn Microsoft environment in regard of Syntex and managing contracts. So it'd be interesting to get your thoughts, if that's really is already a valid solution as of now for you going with contract management, lifecycle management, or you could say more maybe in a half a year or a year looking on your outlook you just shared on your last slide. Be interesting to get your thoughts.
Yeah, so my slide said available soon in regards of contract management. I must say I haven't seen it in action until now. So if that's interesting for you, we also have GBBs, so global backbeds, that are deeply within the products and the product's development. They can also demo what will be available soon. Personally, I haven't touched it yet, so I cannot tell you if this is a solution that already qualifies or already covers all your needs.
I actually think it is, because Ludwig tested it out. He actually did it at his own laptop the last weeks. But we can, he's probably getting off the train right now, but we can, when he's back later or tomorrow, we can try to get in touch with him to get that information.
Okay. Be interested to get that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, Lorna, you can also ask in the GBBs. So let's talk tomorrow.
Exactly. We will follow up on that.
Thanks.
Good. And thank you, Jonathan.
You're very welcome.
Kite surfer number 2 on our meetup in one day. So, any other questions for Jonathan?
Well, I will probably have a short one. So I went to the Getting Started with Syntex.
Yes.
And I found you have community talks. At what time do they usually take place? Do you know that?
Not directly. That's also something we have to follow up in this case.
Okay. Yeah, they take place once a month eventually.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good. Thank you. That's fine.
So for the next meetup, we have one of my colleagues from Dublin doing a session on Copilot in Viva sales, in Viva and customer sales and marketing. And we also have, I'm just reading from my other screen here, we also have Luca Pellegrini, who is doing a session on updates in financial operations and customer engagement and best practices. I think, Andre, maybe you saw a session on Luca Pellegrini in DynamicsCon, I'm not sure. No, Ludwig saw it there. So
I had a very busy schedule, so some sessions were just overlapping, and I was not able to attend also the sessions I would like to attend. So unfortunately,
Ludwig saw a session with him and was really thrilled about it, and arranged a session in June with him because we had an open spot. So it will be on update cycles and his experiences on go lives and also rollouts.
I missed it, but I have another opportunity.
Be interesting for all of us. And for Luca, he's Italian, so I think that will be in English. So, and I'm not sure about Leander. He can do lots of languages. So I will stop the recording now. Thank you, Jonathan. And then we can, let me see if I can do it. Good.